I don't know what to call my videos. I'll just call them by the opening. And this opening was called the Trompowsky A45, although it's not actually a genuine Trompowsky because my opponent didn't actually follow theory so many moves. But he played the move D4, knight f6, e3, e6, and of course normally in the Trompowsky this bishop comes out over here, and with the point being that I mean, for example, let's see here, bishop g5, and now often black plays knight to e4. That's probably what I play the most. And white plays bishop f4 followed by c5, f3, queen a5, and so on. But the computer or my software calls this the Trompowsky, so I suppose it is. So I play e6, h3. Well, h3 makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, the move he played here, white, according to theory, plays knight f3. You can play bishop d3, f4, you know, anything basically. But the move h3, at least in my opinion, doesn't make much sense, because first of all, I can't even put a bishop over there, because I mean, I have a pawn here on d7, I have a pawn on e6, so there's no way I can ever put a piece over there. And I mean, the only piece I could have put there is the knight, but I mean, I don't want to lose a piece, right? So h3 makes no sense, so I play bishop b6, with the point being that I want to put my bishop here on this diagonal. He played knight f3, bishop b7, bishop e2, bishop e7, knight b to d2, queen a4, sorry, castles a3. Here's another move that doesn't make sense. I mean, why play a3? It doesn't stop anything. I can't put a piece again. I can't put a piece over here, and I can still play c5. I can play d5. You know, all those normal developing moves. So again, a3 makes no sense. But notice that even if your opponent doesn't follow theory and he makes unnecessary moves, it doesn't actually mean that he's a weak player. And as we will see in this game, he's not actually a bad player, although he made some unnecessary moves in the opening. But you just don't know why your opponent plays certain moves. I mean, maybe he's just fooling around. Maybe he wants to see how good you are. Maybe he's played many good games and then he just tries something out. I mean, you just never know. But the moves h3 and a3 make no sense at all to me. So whatever was the case, it has to be. Maybe he was, like I said, maybe he was just trying something out. So I don't know. But as the game continues, it turns out that he's not actually a weak player in general. Okay, he makes, again, unnecessary moves. Sometimes you can make moves because there's nothing else to do. I mean, okay, maybe in a situation like this, white can play c4, b3, c4, maybe even b4, you know, anything. But queen b3 is not actually attacking anything unless I take back with my b pawn and, you know, lose my bishop on b7. But obviously that's not going to happen, so I just put my rook on a file that could potentially open up. I mean, I can always take here on d4, and when he takes back, either, for example, probably the c pawn, then this file will be open. So all the moves that I made make sense, and they're also logical moves, I mean, when you think about it. And again, queen a4. I mean, he could have put, I mean, for example, he played queen b3. I mean, if he was going to play queen a4, why not put the queen, you know, there in the first place and just save the move, right? I mean, from here to here. But instead, he puts the queen on b3, and with my rook, he puts the queen on a4. He's not actually attacking anything because my knight is protecting my pawn. And I even played a6, and he still can't take the pawn, because if he takes with the bishop, then I'll just put my rook over here on a8, and then I'll just take, because he can't protect the, you know, the piece anyway. Okay, he did see that, so he played b4. So he's made a bunch of unnecessary moves, and he's more or less, as the game progresses, getting away with that. I mean, everybody's experienced that. I mean, on all levels, not only amateur levels, but even top player level. Top player levels. I mean, you've seen Anand play many games and even lost against much weaker players. But so the point is that you never underestimate anybody. So just play normal moves and allow him to make the unnecessary moves, more or less. So, for example, here my aim is to put my bishop, knight first to d6 and then over here. And if he takes back, then obviously I will take. I don't want to take with this pawn because then I will sort of free up his queen side, and then he will also have some pressure on my a pawn at some point, perhaps. So that's my idea, but he didn't take. So instead, his idea is to play a4 at some point. So that's why he put the bishop over here, so that now if he plays a4, this pawn is not actually hanging because it's protected by both the queen and the bishop. So I played f5, and the reason I played f5 was that if white takes my knight and when I take back, then this pawn is actually stopping his e pawn, because notice that no matter how he takes my knight, I will take back with this pawn, and okay, it is I suppose possible to take with this pawn, but I don't want to give him any majority on the queen side. So when I take back with this pawn, for example, then obviously he has to move his queen, and then I can just move my knight, and both my bishop and pawn will protect the e4 square. So he played a4, like I said. Rook e8, in case just a file opens up, which of course he immediately saw. He put his rook on a1, and now a trade, another trade, and here I want just win a piece, sorry, a pawn, and now just a trade. And here maybe b4 was a little bit impatient because like the pawn is not really going anywhere. Also a little bit, as we can see, I can actually, maybe I should play this move instead, but then for example if knight to a5 and then queen a4 or something, a bit impatient. Maybe I should have played offer a queen trade or something. But I played b4, maybe it's right, I don't know. I haven't actually analyzed this game. Knight takes d2 and just trade, and now let's go to the end game. I just traded everything off more or less because, well, first of all I'm up a pawn, and I think that my position is better. And he doesn't really know which side to keep an eye on. I mean, now there's an attack both on his king side, and this pawn on the queen side could also be very dangerous. Instead of king h5, I was also looking at the move knight to a5. I mean, potentially coming over here, you know, anything, and perhaps even push my pawn. So I play king h5, and this is now we reached more or less the end game. I played h4, h6, because obviously I don't want to lose this pawn because that's my most important pawn. So instead I gave up this pawn. And I'll win the h4 pawn. Knight to e7 temporarily protects my pawns. Okay, I lose my queen pawn. But you know, you can't really do anything. And here I sacrifice my knight for his pawns over here. And you can't really take this pawn because then I'll just go over here and my h-pawn can't really be stopped. So he went to h3. Maybe this move would have been a better alternative, followed by king takes d4 and f4. But he played h3, and now I just made a queen. So I don't have much time left, so let's just take a very quick look at the end game here. This is very known easy technique. You simply force the king in front of his own pawn, and every time that happens, you bring your own king close to the action, so to speak. And this is where the game ended. He resigned here. Of course, he could have resigned a long time ago, but you know, some players don't want to do that.